holding 10 parties and a gold medal. Which, if you're doing it in 1 month, holding 10 parties and gold medaling is totally possible. You guys know what gold medal is, right? 5 new team members personally. So those are all your new people. So that puts you to 10 plus 5 to 15 team members.
It's blurry.
And then, and grow 3 red jackets. So 3 of these people become red jackets. So that adds 3 more people. Well, that's 3, well, I guess 9 more people, thank you. 9 more people, you guys are paying attention, good job. So that gets you to 24. You got it? So
Sorry,
your 15
it's blurry.
plus your 9 gets you to 24. That's possible, right? It's totally doable. It's totally doable. Or you can do it the other way. Like when I was in DIQ, you have to be ready. Well, and anybody that's in DIQ, you have to be ready and willing to do all the work that it takes to become a sales director. Anything your team does is just gravy. But you are not going to be holding your breath on those 10 active people. Christina knows, they know that you can't control what they do. And you don't want to give your power over to someone else. Even as a new sales director, they want you continually working because even though you have these 24 people, yeah, you can only do so much with those 24 people that you've got to continue to keep building and keep growing, okay? So I know when I was in DIQ, it used to be 30 people to finish, and I recruited all 30 myself. Thank you very much. But you all have to be, maybe there's one other person that was recruited, I don't remember, but it was pretty much all of them. You have to be ready, and I'm not saying that to make me feel good. That's normal. That's normal as a DIQ that you are doing the work yourself because you're the one that's going to be a sales director. You're the one that's going to be the sales director that it only makes sense for you to do the activity that it takes to become a sales director, right? Because otherwise, if you have somebody that's doing all the work, you know what? They're going to become a sales director. You better get your butt in gear because they're going to become a sales director on their own right after you. And you know what? That's what happened with me. My director, which you guys may not have heard that I had a really bad director. That was mine personally. She was a new director. And she sat back and just watched me do DIQ. And she didn't do any work to build her people. And then once I was gone, she was gone. She was not a director anymore because she didn't have anyone else to work with because she hadn't worked and continued to build, and she just counted on me to do all the work for her. Does that make sense? So she was making the paycheck, and I didn't like that so much, so that motivated me to be like, excuse me, I'm making this much. No, I'm not okay with that. So, anyways, side tangent, but any of you can be a 1 month normal. It's all up to you. And if you focus on, this is a huge point, is that if you focus on the how it's going to happen, it's going to paralyze you. And this is a totally different concept for anybody that's not been around Mary Kay. Because you have to believe that it's possible, and you don't, if you focus on the how, and I don't even know that many people, and where they're going to come from, and I've never recruited that, and you focus on the past experiences, that's going to paralyze you. That you've got to believe that it's possible. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know that it's possible. It's just like if you watch, I don't know, well, if first of all, if you guys have any missionary friends, anybody have any missionary friends? I don't know if you guys have missionary friends, but they have to raise a certain amount of support. Like their livelihood depends on other people's donation. That they have to have faith that it's going to come in. They don't know where it's going to come in. They don't know who's going to support them. They don't know who's going to, have extra money in their budget. They have to just believe that it's possible, and then it does come together. It's crazy. So you have to believe the same way about your business. Is you have to believe that it's possible. You don't know how it's going to happen. You have no possible clue as to how it's going to happen, but you believe that it's possible. But if you focus on the how, it'll kill you. It'll paralyze you. That's huge.
And that's the thing. So like if you had one person that recruited all that and then they became a director, they take all those people. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what you want to be working
on yourself.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
You get the 13%.
Exactly. It's crazy to not have them be your personal people because as a sales director, you're going to be making 26% off of those personal people, right? So it's smarter to do that. Definitely smarter to do that. And anybody can do this, you guys. It's just changing your thinking. So we talked a lot about thinking. You've really got to work on changing your thinking, especially if you're like, I could never, ever even do that. Why am I even here and thinking this is possible? Then that just means that you got to change your thinking. That's it. Okay, so the other thing you got to change, so you got to increase your belief in your thinking. The other thing is your activity. You've got to increase your activity. Like I said, I think that's what makes DIQ so hard and get a bad reputation is because the DIQ is not doing enough work and spending way too much time worrying and not working. When you're working and you got stuff going on and you're excited and you got this happening and this person that's going to sign up, you're excited. You're not worried about how it's going to happen because you're so busy just trying to get everything all, to keep everything all together. But what makes DIQ hard is when you stop working and then you just spend way too much time in your head.
Tracking.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good at tracking.
Yeah. And not working and tracking. And I just listened to a conference call yesterday. It was actually the DIQ call. And it talked about this girl that came in and she worked a full-time job and she did 50 faces 2 months in a row. She did 50 faces. She was in front of 50 people, which if you're in front of 50 people, all of you would be sales directors if you were in front of 50 people in 2 months in a row. Seriously. And she worked a full-time job and was in front of those 50 people 2 months in a row, and that's how she finished. She finished in 2 months. And she went on to her very first year do $700,000. That's more than I've even ever done in 7 years. And then she went on the next year to do $1 million. 50 faces a week. Or not a week. Yeah, you guys do 50 faces a week. And tell me.
Well, that is only
But
five parties a week, really.
It's only
I mean,
five, and
if you look
honestly,
at
it's
it
a
that
job.
way, piece of cake.
It is. It is. And she said she did 10 parties a month of 5 people at each party. That if you're doing parties, you're in front of way more people than you are just doing facials. That why aren't we booking parties? Why aren't we in front of more people? Because it's a much better use of your time. And then she interviewed everyone that she was in front of. Interviewed everyone that you were in front of. Are you asking people to listen? Because if you're not asking them to listen, I'll tell you what, you got to have really good luck to just have people come out of the blue and say if they want to sign up for Mary Kay. That happens a few times, but it's not going to get you through DIQ. You got to be in front of, and most people need enough information to make an educated decision. Most people need to either watch a video or sit down. It's always best if they can sit down and have a full conversation with you, or come to a meeting. They got to be, just you saying a little I story talking for 3 or 4 minutes is not going to be near enough information for someone to make a decision. Even someone who really is interested. I think you need to have at least a 20 to 30 minute conversation with them. Because you need to be giving them enough information so they can make an educated decision. So, anyways, you got to be sharing it with everyone. But imagine if you guys did, and it doesn't take that much activity. I'm going to just share just a couple examples really quickly about imagine what would happen if you did this kind of activity, because it's really not hard. If you did 5 and 2 every day, which you guys have heard me say, I'm sure, this is how I built my business. I was told to do 5 and 2 every day, and I was a new consultant. I didn't believe yet that it was hard. No one had told me yet that it was hard to get 5 names a day, and that it was hard to get 2 bookings. So I just did it. My director told me to do it, so I went and found it. I would walk around the stores and be scared and nervous and talk to people. But I knew that's what I was supposed to do, and I looked at my director as my boss. She told me to get 5 names a day. Okay, that's what I was supposed to do. One day, I remember literally spending 8 hours out just trying to get the courage to talk to one person. But I figured it out, and I made myself do it because I wanted it bad enough. How bad do you want it? If you don't want it bad enough, you're going to make a lot of excuses for yourself. So if you got 5 names a day and you got 2 new bookings a day, well, I can give you lots of numbers, but basically 5 names a day. And even if only 1 in 4 of them booked, that would be 455 bookings in a year. Crazy amount of activity, or crazy amount of bookings. And if you did 2 bookings, you would get if you out of your 2 bookings, and assuming half hold, and if they just bought one basic, if they just bought the basic, which is cleanser, moisturizer, and foundation, you'd be making $47,000 in a year just off of your basic skincare set. Just cleanser, moisturizer, foundation, $50. If they bought a miracle set, $93,000 in a year off of your sales. It says a consultant. I don't even know what the repair set numbers are. It's like double that. But why aren't we doing the activity? If we worked for another boss and they told us, all you gotta do today is get 5 names a day and book 2 of them, you can go home. Wouldn't we not do it as quickly as possible?
An hour.
In an hour, exactly. You've been done by 8:30, you get to do whatever you want the rest of the day, and you feel good about it. Here's the thing that I know is that if I just do the work, I can have guilt-free Mary Kay. And what that means is that if you say, okay, I need to get 5 names a day, and you're like, well, I'll do it later, tomorrow, then you're constantly feeling guilty. You're feeling guilty because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I'm not a woman of my word. Like we're just, talking and beating ourselves up. But if you actually did it, you would feel better, and you would actually be able to enjoy your night at the movies, or you're able to enjoy the dinner instead of feeling like, I should have talked to her, I should have done this all day long. Or if you just do it, then she's laughing because you've done that, right? I've done it too, where if I just do it, I feel better. I would say it's a lot like working out. I don't know how many of you guys have issues working out, but like if I just get up in the morning and work out, then I'm fine the rest of the day. But if I don't get out of bed and work out, then all day long, wait, should have worked out. Maybe I can work out later. No, I won't work out. No, I want to be on the couch. This sounds more fun. Eating this sounds more fun. Where if I would have just worked out in the morning, I wouldn't have beat myself up and feel guilty the rest of the day. You know what I mean? You definitely know what I mean. So we have to do, we have to do the activity, enough activity. And you guys, success is not convenient. It's not going to be convenient. If you did 50 faces and you do this 1 month normal thing, I'll tell you what, it's not going to be convenient. There's going to be some nights where dinner may not be on the table. There's going to be some nights you may have to miss a hockey game or whatever. But you have to get out of just the here and now. And remember, this is something that you could literally change your family's future. That, yeah, you may miss that hockey game or whatever, but you could pay for your kids to go into college, all expense paid, and not have to be in debt. You know, that if you can get your eye out of this little thing right now and think about the future, you can get it done a lot quicker. Okay? So short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. And going back to what I've said before, I think, and I got this from my notes somewhere else, is that what holds most DIQs back and people from going into DIQ is their self-esteem and their confidence. That's where they're at. So we're going to talk about sabotaging ourselves because, yeah, we're all good at that. Are you sabotaging yourself? This guy right here. Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm talking about your self-esteem first. This guy. We'll talk about that, and then I'll go into sabotage. Go into sabotage. And this is something that you guys can go through later. But people with low self-esteem, I mean, you can go through this later and just kind of rate yourself because I'm not trying to point any fingers at anybody or make anyone feel bad. But people with low self-esteem continually brag and need to impress others. They have fear of trying new things. Never look at the face of another, no eye contact, or unable to take compliments by others. Fear of finding out about themselves. Ouch. That we're scared to just know. Are critical and fault-finding with others. Feel angry and agitated often. Are withdrawn. Think and talk only of themselves, excluding others. They feel bad physically and mentally on a regular basis. They desire constant attention and approval, and they become people pleasers where they find it really difficult to say no. People with high self-esteem like virtually everything about life. They are non-worriers. They don't worry about anything. And as I'm thinking this, I'm like, this is totally my husband. He doesn't worry about anything. And I'm like, how do you not worry about stuff? I don't get it. He's the happiest little person I've ever met. But
Hello, little happy guy. Who's
happy little, you're
Pretty
But I think men typically are a lot better. Not all the time, but I think they're a lot better. They live in the present. They forgive the past. That's a healthy self-esteem. They're independent. They're unusually free from opinions of others. I don't care what other people think. They make their own choices. They know how to laugh. They accept themselves. They appreciate the natural world. They tolerate human differences. They're honest. They do not blame. They have high energy levels. They're curious. They're not afraid to fail. And they love themselves. Do you know why most entrepreneurs are male? Because they have high self-esteem. And because they're willing to try something new. I know, my husband says the same thing. It's like, what's holding you back? Shoot. Just go do it. Go talk to that person. What's wrong with you? To them, it's black and white.
No, you go do
It's
it.
no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal at all. Why? Oh, get over yourself. Just go give me your card. You know, where in our head we're like, oh no, I don't look right, or this and that. And we're just overanalyzing it. We overthink things way too much. We overthink everything. That I'm like, I wish I had more of a man brain sometimes because they can just do things and do it quickly. So how do you raise your self-esteem? If you see yourself in any of these that you have low self-esteem, these are things to strive for. But you can raise your self-esteem by surrounding yourself with happy people. Develop your own code of ethics and what you want for yourself in your life. Communicate, touch, listen, express your feelings. Don't just keep them all to yourself. Use positive affirmations. Oh my gosh, I could go on about positive affirmations. That what you are telling, you've got to be feeding your mind with something positive. And as you guys are embarking on this adventure with me, you have to be continually feeding your mind. What are you feeding your mind with? Are you filling yourself with affirmations, or do you just say, okay, that's nice, Candace? But are you actually doing it and saying your affirmations? Are you reading positive things? Are you filling your mind with listening to CDs or $1 million messages or things that are constantly feeding your mind? Because you have to be. Critique the media, realize your own special gifts, give yourself credit when it belongs there. Do not degrade pet names for yourself. I don't really know what that means, but develop a well-rounded life. Just have more other things going on. Learn to disregard irrational thoughts. Deliberately recall your own past successes, and don't concentrate on your failures. So there you go. Now you guys know how to raise your self-esteem, right? Easy, done. You guys can all work on that. That is something that you can work on. It's an ongoing process. But those are things to kind of help you raise your self-esteem so you can be in a better place. And be a leader, which I'll be the first to tell you, I don't have all my stuff figured out. I still struggle with low self-esteem. I just know that my self-esteem is higher than it was before. We'll just say that. Does that make sense? Like, I still struggle with that stuff too. So it doesn't mean that you have to be, I think that's what trips people up, is they think, well, I have to have all my life together and be perfect for me to be a sales director. And that's not true. That's the farthest thing from the truth. Any of you that know directors and know us well and intimately, we are just as big dorks and just as big a women and insecure as the next person. We've just done more activity and we fought it. We fought it more. We fought that insecurity more. But it's still there. We all have it. Okay? So it's not going to go away, and don't expect yourself to be perfect. Okay? Now, sabotaging yourself. Because this is a very common thing, too, for people to do, is that you set this big, scary goal, and then it's very normal to have sabotage set in. And it's just because it's a defense mechanism. You know, anytime you stretch your comfort zone, your brain automatically says, we can't do that. We could go into a whole conversation about the neurological stuff and blah, 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 all that stuff. But just know that it's normal anytime you're going to be stretched, that you're going to sabotage yourself because you're scared. This is something that you've never done before. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, you have that fear set in. Some people have fear of success. Would I be a good leader? Some people have, you know, the fear of failure, which was a big deal for me. Like, I don't want to go for this goal and then not make it. But I'll tell you what, if you have the fear of failure and you're already telling yourself that you're not going to make it before you go into it, you're sabotaging yourself. And you're almost asking for failure because you've already told yourself that, because you're so focused on not failing that you actually end up failing. Does that make sense? Because and you can't think beyond that. And like, even as a director, I see so many directors that just focus on the bare minimum. I just got to barely make this minimum. And if they're focusing on that, they're almost not going to get it because they can't think beyond that. You have to think bigger. Think bigger, think bigger, think bigger. Anyway, so these sabotaging things is something that you can do later. You know, it says, my life often seems I'm out of control. I mean, you can definitely fill this out on your own time. But down at the bottom it says, you know, if you have 0 to 2 people, you're not likely to be sabotaging yourself. 3 to 5, like most people, you're doing some things that may be holding you back. 6 to 11, you may be undermining your life in a major way. Begin now to identify and remove your barriers. And 12 to 5 is sabotaging may be everywhere. Sustained efforts may be needed to break down the walls of self-sabotage. The good news is that we've done it, and you can too. I know with a lot of these thoughts, I definitely have felt or did feel definitely before, and still do feel, but before I really stretched myself. So that's normal. I think it's just powerful to be aware of it, because this will stop you. You will so many women, I'd say that's one of the saddest things for me, is to see a woman who has so much potential, and to see her not get it, and to see herself sabotage herself. To see herself paralyze herself because she doesn't believe it's possible, and to see her just totally, basically, just disregard the entire thing because she's sabotaging herself. It's because she doesn't believe it. Okay? So I want you to think, and you don't have to tell me this or whatever. I know we're not going to have a little, you know, session unless we want to, but about the ways that you sabotage yourself. Because if you know them, then you can combat them. Like for some people, it's cleaning. Like when they feel like that they need to be doing something, instead of actually overcoming the fear and and doing that thing, they go and they clean everything and they organize everything, and it's really just an avoidance behavior. Some people go shopping. Some people, what'd you say? Their house is clean, but they're guilty. They're beating themselves up and they're miserable, even though their house is clean. That would it not be better to have a totally messy house, but still be done with DIQ? Because you can always clean later, and it's something that never goes away. You can hire a cleaner, exactly. I don't clean my house. I don't clean toilets. I don't like to do that. And so you can, I think it's gross, but you can have someone else actually. When you're a director, you can make money. You can have those choices to do that so that you can spend the time doing the things you need to do. And you've got to learn, too, as you're becoming a sales director, you've got to learn to delegate. You've got to learn to delegate. You can't do everything. There's no way, no humanly way possible that all of you can do all the things that you have going on right now, and then still be a 1 month normal. You've got to learn to delegate. Can someone fold the clothes for you? Because I'll tell you what, your husband, your kids don't care who folded your clothes. You know, they just care that there's clothes in, or maybe not kids, but my husband usually just wants clothes in the drawer. He doesn't care who folded them. He don't care who cleaned the toilets. You know, so you can delegate that stuff to be able to spend the time on the things that are important. I'll tell you what, the things that are important are going to get you into DIQ are being in front of people. People time. People time is going to get you into DIQ. That's either on the phone, that's a facial, that's an interview, that's a meeting, that's something where you're in front of people. Being on Facebook and, you know, organizing your inventory and inputting all your customer profile cards is not people time, and it's not going to get you into DIQ. You can delegate the customer profile cards. You can delegate all that stuff. Find a teenager who can label all your products. I mean, it does not have to be something that it's going to cost you a lot of money. Teenagers work great because you can reward them with like lip gloss or something, or a mascara, and that's a product, you know? So, anyways, I'm going to move along because we have lots more to cover. You guys know this. This is your emotional cycle. And all of you have been here. All of you have been through these cycles, but do you know how to get yourself out of it is the key. So I'm just going to run through it really quickly. I kept this on my fridge as a new consultant, and especially when I was in DIQ. Where am I right now, and how do I get back up to stage 1? It's important to just get it out there and talk about it. So number 1 is excited, enthusiastic. Woohoo, I'm going to be a director, yay! And then stage 2 hits in, frustration. You hit a postponement, an obstacle, a friend that won't book with you, someone tells you you're crazy. Stage number 3 is shock. They said it was going to be so easy. I didn't say DIQ is easy. I said that the work is not hard. The work is not hard if you're doing enough activity. Does that make sense? If you're doing enough activity. Step number 4 is denial. Withdrawal, avoid the meetings, negative attitude, procrastinate, cook and sleep a lot, take on more projects at your job. And I find at this point that people don't return my phone calls, they don't return my text messages, they're just kind of hanging out. They're just, I'll call her later, and then they never do. Fear sets in, I can't do this, maybe this isn't for me, they didn't tell me, blame anyone, yourself, recruiter, anyone but yourself. Because ultimately, I'll tell you what, you are responsible for your own success. My director was horrible, did not help me at all, did not give me any guidance. I would call her and she would literally say, I don't know, look online. That was her, and the website was not nearly as in-depth as it is now. But I figured it out, okay? I figured it out. So you can't blame anyone else. You alone are responsible, nobody else. Nobody else. And then, so 6A is you can settle and say, well, I never really wanted my own business anyways, and you know, I kind of love my other job. It's kind of fulfilling. The hours really aren't that bad. And you quit and you forget your dreams and you rationalize yourself out of why you should do Mary Kay. 6B is anger. Get angry at yourself. Admit and recognize your feelings that you alone are responsible for your own success and failure. Get back to stage 1 where you're recommitted. And Crystal was just at my new consultant training this morning, and I went through this exact same thing, which as a new consultant you go through this, but as a consultant now, and especially as you're going through DIQ, you're going to go through this, and you've got to know how to get yourself out of these times and how to get yourself out of them quickly. Because I still go through this. We all go through this. I have days where I'm like, I'm not a good leader, blah, 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 and I doubt myself. Even with all my success, that doesn't matter. That we're women. But I know how to get myself out of this quickly. A pity party is the most expensive party you'll ever throw for yourself. I'm serious. Let that sink in. A pity party is the most expensive party you'll ever throw for yourself because it costs you money. The longer you're out and being powerful and being the best version of yourself possible. So I know there's 2 things that get me out of my little pity parties. Number 1 is activity. Forcing myself to do something even when I do not feel like doing something. Even when I don't want to make those booking calls, even when I don't want to hand out my business card to that person, even when, you know, I really don't want to go to that facial, I'm tempted to cancel because I'm just not having a good day and doubting myself. When I actually do it and I get a win, I get either a name or a booking or I get a sale, that excitement comes back and I'm able to get back up to stage 1. Because you're not always going to feel like doing Mary Kay in case you haven't figured that out yet, right? That you have to be disciplined enough to work even when you don't feel like working. So activity will get me out of that. The other thing is just reaching out to someone or just doing something positive, whether it's coming to a meeting like this. But that's why the Tuesday night meetings and whatever, you guys all have different meetings on different nights, are so critical. I even miss them. I totally miss them when I'm not around them. But I know a consultant, even if she misses a week, she'll say, you know what, I just didn't feel right if I missed my meeting. That's why you need the meetings. I'll tell you what, if you feel like not going to your meeting, that is why you need to go to your meeting. as a husband, you can kick her, and if she says, I don't really feel like going tonight, I'm tired, my pinky hurts, then say like, kick her out the door and say, no, that's why you need to go to your
Don't really kick
meeting.
her though. You're welcome. Well, we can kick you anytime we want, just so you know. Into gear.
But in all seriousness, when you
Yeah.
don't want to be there, that's when you need to be there. And that's when you need your meeting. And anyways, and you, I just want you guys to know that we're in this journey together. That I wish I had a magic ball that told me when you guys were doubting yourselves and in fear. I wish I had a magic ball, but you have to call me. You have to call us and reach out to us. You aren't meant to do this business alone. You aren't meant to do this alone. That some of the best and most rewarding conversations I've had with people are people who call me and say, I just really don't think I can do this. I just don't think I'm cut out for this. And we're able to have a conversation and talk through it. And she just feels so much better just talking about it. Just getting it out there. And then you're like, okay, it's done. It's not this thing that we kept to ourselves and it's a big, ugly, deep, dark secret. Okay? I know if you don't return my phone calls, I'm not stupid. I know. I've been around this enough. If you don't return my phone calls, I know that you're struggling and that you just don't want to talk to me because you're embarrassed. I know. And it's powerful, number one, for you to admit that, and then number two, to call me or text me or whatever and just say, I need to talk. I really am struggling right now. I love those conversations because I have those people in my life that I need to call when I'm feeling that way. Because you have to get it out, okay? So you have to know, especially through DIQ, it's an emotional roller coaster ride, I'll tell you what, that you have to find ways to get yourself out of those little funks, okay? Another thing that I'll just mention, and I'll move on, is that a leader must learn to protect her energy. You must learn to protect your energy, which means that just life can be distracting. It can suck our energy. You can just get that next text message could be something that can totally rock your world and totally get you off on being miserable for the rest of the day. Opening an email can suck your energy because it could be something negative that you don't want to hear. That you've got to be on purpose to be proactive and to really be conscious of the things that steal your energy. And sadly, sometimes when you're going to DIQ or you're going for a big goal like this, it may be a person. It may be someone that you need to limit time with or time on. For me, I found, and some of you I know love Facebook, but I know for me, I found that Facebook was a negative thing for me. When I got on there, I would spend so much time looking at all the other things that people have going on that I got off there every time feeling worse about myself. And yeah, you look at me like that and say that's crazy. Some people love Facebook, so that's not something you struggle with. That was something personally that I had to just decide, okay, I'm minimizing this. I had to hide certain people so I couldn't see their posts. But it was about me. It wasn't about them. They weren't doing anything wrong. It was just my insecurities that made me feel bad. Does that make sense? So I'm saying things like that, and not that Facebook is a thing, but I know there's certain people, I can think of several people off the top of my head that once I get off the phone with them, I feel drained, and they're maybe another sales director, there's someone else that you just have to limit that time because it sucked my energy, okay? So just be thinking about things that suck your energy, and you really got to limit that. And if it's a loved one, obviously you're not going to say, I can't talk to you again, so they can't talk to you. I know.
I'm sorry, you're sucking my energy right
No,
now.
but especially if it's a husband, you can't really do that. But you can also you can be on guard about when you're being on guard and just feeling like I have my little bubble and being on the not the defensive, but being prepared for it. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the issue is when you're around something like that, it just sideswipes you and then it knocks you out. But if you're on the defense, and I just from playing sports, if you're feeling aggressive and you're in a stance, you can handle a hit. But if you're just standing not paying attention, someone hits you, it's gonna knock you over. I'm serious. You know what I mean?
That was
But if you're
perfect.
just prepared. Hold your stance, come at me, and you get it up your ass, man. Get down in the ready position. Anyways.
Fuck in the dark.
Hello, I'm ready to talk to you. No, I can't really do that so much. But I'm just saying mentally be on guard. And then you find that they don't hit you nearly as hard. Okay, I can talk about that. A couple other things that I think you need to learn as a leader, and I'm not going to go into this a bunch, but you guys, oh wait, I didn't give you this as a handout. Image, I want to be done by 4, so that's why I keep looking, is that I want to be respectful of your time, because I could sit and talk forever. But that's why I keep looking at the time, because I want you to be able to have all the information. Then the next thing I'll talk about is image, and I'm just going to mention this a couple times, or just for a few minutes, is that if you want to be in a different place, you're going to want to dress the part, and you're going to want to act the part, even though you're not there. So I'm just going to have you ask a couple questions to yourself. We're not pointing fingers at anybody, but if you're serious about becoming a director, I found for me, I needed to go like shopping, and I needed to feel more confident because I knew that if I looked more put together, I would feel more confident. Does that make sense? That when I was talking to people, because I treat people and I talk to people completely different if I'm in jeans and a sweatshirt than if I'm dressed up like this. Do you know what I mean? And so it affects your confidence for sure. So how's your hair? Has anyone told you recently that they love your color? That they love your hair? It could be the color, it could be whatever. What does Gloria say? Like, if you don't like it, get it cut, get it styled, or get some new hair or something like that.
No. Some new hair.
That I think is the more impacting part, but yeah.
It's what?
The way she said
The way she does it, I know, I can't remember the whole thing and I totally butchered it. But anyways, it's just good. Seriously, having a decent, like, up-to-date hairdo makes a big difference. What is the look of your business suit and your attire, your outfit? Do you need help just going shopping with someone? You know, that's what we're here for. It's just to help you. Shoes, are you wearing, what are you wearing? Are they cheap? Are they old? Are they worn through? I know for me, and one time my senior, so I know it's kind of confusing. I had a director, Dawn, who was not the good director, but my senior, Terry, is like a trendsetter, and she like dresses to the nines. And I didn't know anything about any of that stuff, and she took me out shopping. But I remember that there's been a couple times where I'll wear heels, and like the little metal sticks through, and so it's like scraping. Do you guys ever do that? Or do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like the bottom. Anyways, I wore one to a seminar one year, and she's like, "Can it, Judy? Get rid of those. I'm throwing those away right now." Like, but she had a good point, is that I need to like update my heels and not wear them till the end. I need to get new ones. Being cheap, whatever. You know, your makeup, is it up to date? You know, if I didn't know anything about makeup, and if that's not your strength, I know it wasn't, ask somebody. I mean, Michelle's a great person to talk to. She knows a lot about color. I know I'm going to throw you under the bus, but I'm just saying, go ask somebody, because you're not, I mean, we are not expected to know all this stuff about color. You know, so just think about your image and what you're portraying to other people, because you literally have just a few seconds to make that first impression. And if you're dressing sharp, then you're going to attract sharp women. And you guys want sharp women, because I'll tell you what, sharp women are so much more fun to work with. And if you're going to be doing this 1 month normal, which I know all of you guys are going to be doing, you're going to want to be recruiting sharp women. And it's so easy, and once again, this goes back to the confidence thing, and I don't want to, you know, make anyone feel bad, but it's so easy, and it's so much easier to recruit the person that doesn't have any teeth, or is 18, or has, you don't have a job, or doesn't have a car, you know, and not that those are bad things and that makes you a bad person, is all I'm saying, but it's easier to recruit that person than it is the person that, you know, is in her 40s and has an awesome job and makes 6 figures and dresses to the nine and looks like she has all her stuff together. Does that make sense? And once again, that goes back to our confidence. If we're feeling confident, we are going to be much more likely to attract this person. But I'll tell you what, this person will usually, typically, I mean, there are stories of people that have been successful and have, and not that there's anything wrong with being 18, don't get me wrong, because there are several people that are 18 and have, you know, totally broken records and have done amazing things. But for the most part, you know, the younger people tend to be more flaky. They just do. So if you're a younger person, you're not flaky, that says a lot about your character, and that's a great thing. So I'm not trying to make anyone like feel bad, but I'm saying you're more professional, sharp women. Even though it's scarier to ask her, it's going to be a lot easier in the long run, because you will get a lot of emotional heartache just recruiting those people over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You're going to have to work a lot harder. Where if you can just step out of your comfort zone and be bold and recruit those sharp people, it's going to last you a lot longer, and you're going to build a lot stronger unit. And I heard something on Some $1 Million Message, I think Michelle was telling me this, is that all you have to take is 20 seconds of courage. 20 seconds of courage. It takes 20 seconds to pick up that phone call and call that scary person, or to hand out that, you know, send out that card to that sharp, intimidating woman. It takes 10 seconds, because once you're in, you're in. Like, once you already got that card out, you're done, you know, and you're fine. And I know I'm the same way too. Once I pick up the phone, or once I get out the card, I'm fine. It's just that whole, should I not, should I pick up the phone, should I call now, blah, 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 blah. All you have to do is be brave for 20 seconds, and that could change everything. Getting a sharp team member to run with you.
Or you start to walk towards them, their child breaks something in the aisle at the grocery store, and you're like,
yeah. But I do it too. Just yesterday, I was like, oh, there's a sharp girl at the cashier, and da-da-da, and I walked up to the thing, and then someone else came in front of me, I'm like, I'm going over here. Like, it just happens to all of us.
she didn't read your mind.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm just saying we all agree with that. I don't think it ever goes away, but the more that you do it, the less that fear becomes. Do you know what I mean? They just give you hope.
Yes, thank you.
No, I will be the first to tell you I have just as much doubt and insecurity as the next person, but I do it anyways.
Yeah,
you have
pretty
to find a
sure.
way to just force yourself to do it when you're not feeling it like it. And this is a whole other concept I wasn't going to talk about, but this is just me personally. I have put myself in a position where I have to work. I don't have an option. We bought a house that we can only afford on my income. We can't afford it on my husband's income. I don't have a choice, and I'm not telling you to go do this, but it was something that, I know, it is very motivating because it motivated me. I have to work even when I don't feel like, because I don't not pay my bills. That's not me. That's not us at all. But it stretched me at that point when I needed stretching. Because I had been kind of falling back into a slump and I needed to be stretched to the next level. And I heard a national say, buy a house you can't afford, that'll get you out of bed in the morning. And not, I mean, things have changed in the mortgage industry. So that was before all the housing crash and all that stuff. But I did it anyways, and I think that was one of the best decisions I made because that next year we did $500,000, and I mean, because I've continued to go up in my business, and there was 1 year that I went backwards, and that was the year I made that decision, and the next year we were up 150% again, or 150,000, and did $500,000 because I had to work. I didn't have a choice, and not that I said that I'm recommending that because a lot of women shut down under that pressure, but I know myself enough to know that that's what I needed. You know what I mean? So. Anyways, but you can start small.
Actually, I can give you a personal example, and I won't go into details. I like eye contact. But when I made that change recently, and I've shared this in a meeting, but it was, my husband was diagnosed by 3 different doctors with a terminal illness. And he doesn't have that. So let me cut to the chase. He doesn't have that. He was actually sent to the university up in Denver, and thankfully, the doctor that specialized, one of 4 in the nation in this, that he had been diagnosed with this particular disease, said, I've got great news, you don't have it. You have something rarer, but there's a much better prognosis. But it put a fire in me like none other. And I thought, shoot, I will boldly say I'm 45 years old, and in 10 years, I could potentially be a widow. And that just, I could be a widow tomorrow, but to know that put such a fire in me that told me, man, I'm going to get off the pot. And
You had a big motivation, yeah.
it was huge with raising 3 kids, 2 teenagers, college bound. Wow, I mean, it was overwhelming, but there was such a peace that I knew I had this. I had the skills, I knew that I could do this, and like I said, the prognosis became much different, but the motivation was still there, because it hit me that not only could I be a widow in 10 years, but I could be a widow tomorrow. What does that look like? And
are you okay with that? And
yeah, right, exactly.
Are you set up for that? I mean,
Right,
obviously,
yeah,
okay
no,
with that,
yeah,
but-
I know.
Yeah, but are you
I
set
will be
up?
calling.
Yes. But you have to have a why, and it's different for everyone. But if you don't have a financial pressure, you don't have whatever, you've got to find something that's bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, most people won't become sales directors just for themselves and just to make extra money. Usually you need something more than that, So, great example. And then a couple other things that I'm going to mention really quickly is weekly plan sheet. You guys have all seen this before. You guys all know what this is, right? How many of you use it? See, there's a couple of you, I'm sure, that actually use it. This will change your life if you actually use it. And it's great in theory, you guys, it's not in your handout, sorry guys. But if you actually use this, it will change your life. Because, number 1, you map out when you're going to work your business. Every single one of you, I don't care what your circumstances are, can find time to do to do the activity it takes to do this. So you got to find the time first, and I've always heard it said that if you have 3 to 5 holes of 1 to 2 hour time slots, you can go anywhere you want to go in this business. Anywhere you want to go in this business. So first of all, you got to have a plan. You got to get your family on board with the plan. Just having a plan but not telling your husband or not telling your kids means that it's probably not going to happen. Because if I'm working Monday nights, You can't call me to pick you up at practice. You can't call me, to cook dinner or whatever. You're responsible for that. They know, just like if you work another job. If you left it from 6 to 8 another job, they'd figure dinner out. They wouldn't ask you to pick them up because you're at your job. But that goes back to respecting yourself enough to where you work even when you don't feel like working. Okay, so does your family know what your weekly plan looks like? And then you got to stick to it. When you have those time slots, you've got to have enough respect for yourself again that you would work like you would for a boss. I'll tell you what, if a boss told you to do all these things that DIQ requires, you would do it in a heartbeat. You would do it in a heartbeat.
One quick thing about that that we did in our area that for me was pretty eye-opening was I did a weekly plan sheet, and this was for 1 month, so you may not have time. You could do it for 1 week and just look at it. But we did a weekly plan sheet like we, would, and then we actually did an actual plan sheet. So we had our weekly plan sheet and then an actual, and every half an hour we wrote what we really did. And so when I say I'm a good tracker, I'm super great at paperwork, and I realized I was spending a lot of my time getting everything together and making 2 minutes of phone calls instead of 30 minutes of phone calls. But it took me 28 minutes to get everything together and get the things and get the quiet. And so it's really, really eye-opening.
Yeah.
Just because you write it down doesn't mean you're doing it, so hold yourself accountable. You don't have to show it to anybody, but if you're honest with yourself, how much time did you really spend? And if you were derailed, why? Was it because you weren't sharing your plan or whatever?
Because I can guarantee all of you in the room, probably, I don't think there's anybody that's working 10 hours a week, really working 10 hours a week with this. Really working. Like, of income producing activities of this, or doing this. If you were working 10 hours a week, you all would be sales directors. Yes, I would recommend working more than that, but 10 hours a week of really income producing time, yeah, we spend a lot of time in our heads, but actually jotting it down and realizing, wow, I only did 2-minute phone calls when in my brain I told myself it was 30 minutes of phone calls, because we're really good at organizing and, oh, look at this email over here, and, and, yes, exactly, oh, it's taking me a long time, where if you just honestly took 10 hours of concentrated effort, proactive effort, any of you could be in a car or driving or a sales director. It doesn't take much time, it just takes focus. Just like we talked about, most of us have squirrel brains. We can't stay focused. Okay, so what do you do? What's the next step from here? So, first of all, I've been talking a lot about deciding. You've got to decide that you want this. You've got to go for it. So I would say the plan is any of you, like I said, any of you could be in DIQ February 1st, no matter if you have 0 team members or you have 20. I don't care. Because y'all know you need new ones anyways. You need new ones. And I would say the most important reason you need new ones is to excite you. And even as a sales director, I have 50 personal team members, which is high for a sales director, because I know that that's the one thing I can control. I can't control what anyone else does. I can just control the amount of bringing in new people. And that new person is going to excite all of the other unit members, or your team members, okay? But also, just say another thing really quick before I move on, is that those people who haven't been doing anything, and this is like there's going to be a few of them, not a ton of them. There may be a few people who, by you stepping out of your comfort zone and you saying, we're going for this, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm becoming a sales director, we're becoming a unit, that they're going to step out of their comfort zone and do more for you than they maybe would have done for themselves. So by you being great and being bold, maybe one of your other team members may actually do something with this. I'm not saying hold your breath, but I'm just saying it could happen. I know. Yeah, you need new people. But anyway, so I want you to make a list of your current team members and those that are active, and figure out how many more you need. Because you've got to know, it's all great in theory, but you've got to know how many more people do I need and what is my plan to make that happen. So if you have, let's say, 3 active team members, then that means you need 7 team members, and maybe some of your team members you could get active and stuff like that. That's a consideration. If someone isn't active, I would offer to go do things for them. And once again, it's not, we don't want to do things for everyone, but it's something that benefits you because it could get them going, get them excited, and then it could get them active and get you into DIQ. So you could offer to go out and meet people with her, or go offer to do a facial or a skincare class or a party or something with her to help her get active, and maybe that's just the thing she needs to get her to that next level. Now, I'm not saying you go and do that for all your team members. I'm just saying if you have a goal, you can do that. Or you can bribe them with free stuff. I do a lot of bribing. Christina's done this before, lots of bribing. Tell them if they get their order in, you're going to give them X, Y, and Z for helping you out. And of course, you're saying, this isn't, I'm not trying to make you order, but, if you do order, then I'll give you this, And then, of course, you want to follow that up with, What are ways that we can go make some quick sales? Can you do an online, a website sale? Can you do whatever? And helping them with ideas. So you're not just saying, hey, can you fork out $200? You know, but you're actually, because that's not cool. You don't want to do that. That's bad. But if you are saying, how can I help you? Then you can encourage her to help her get her order in, okay? But if you have so many active people, maybe you can get a few other people active. Let's say if you have 3. She needs 7 active between now and the end of the month, okay? 7, you got to be willing to work the numbers. So if your averages, you got to know what your averages are, which like I said, if you can get them in front of me, or you can get them actually down and sit down in person, get them come to a meeting, get them come to something, your ratio is typically going to be a lot higher than just having them listen to a hotline or watch a video. Because you need to have a conversation with them. And granted, we've had great success with video, but we've also shared the business with a ton of people to be able to get that success. Does that make sense? And every single person that I've signed up with the video, we usually always have a 30 to 40 minute conversation afterwards. She doesn't just, I've never had anybody call me and say, I'm going to do it now, here's my, all my information. No, we're having a conversation and overcoming objections. Does that make sense? Anyways, so if you need 7, then let's say 1 in 4, you need to share the business with 28 people between now and the end of the month. You can do that, right? All of you could share the business with 28 people. And so that can be either, like I said, bringing guests to a meeting. It can be you just having a conversation with them one-on-one. It can be having them watch the video, whatever. And then you just have to tell them about it. You have to tell people. You have to open your mouth and just talk to people and tell people your goal. And I'd say having a face-to-face conversation or an on-the-phone conversation is so much better than just posting something on Facebook. You'll get a few stragglers, but it's so much better for them to hear your heart and to hear your excitement and your enthusiasm, which they can't hear that on a post. So that would sound something like picking up your call and calling that well, first of all, the other thing you want to do is I want you to make a list of anybody and obviously you're not going to do this all right now, but make a list of anybody and everybody that you think would benefit from Mary Kay in her life. No prejudging. You're not allowed to prejudge. Because right away you think this sharp person and right away your brain says, oh, she'd never be interested, or oh, blah, 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 because you're scared, because it's that fear. So really monitor what you're telling yourself. You're going to make a list of anybody that you think would benefit from Mary Kay. Whether it's the money, or maybe she has plenty of money and just needs a self-esteem and confidence. I think we were talking in our Bible study the other night, just because someone has a lot of money does not mean that they have a lot of confidence. Usually those people are the most insecure people that you'll ever meet. Because they think money's going to make them happy and it's not. Anyway, so does she need the self-esteem? Does she need just the girl time? Does she need adult conversation and away from her kids? Just be thinking about any woman that you think could benefit from Mary Kay, and you need to call her and have a conversation. And it sounds something like this. Hey, Crystal, I'm so excited. I've decided to promote myself in my business, and I need 28 people to just listen to the business opportunity between now and the end of the month. 28, I know, that's a ton, huh? I'm sure it's something that you would never imagine, never think about doing, but I just need 28 people to just give me their opinion. And you are a sharp woman. I would love to have you on my team or women like you. So if it's not for you, then you can maybe refer me to somebody in your life that it could be good for. And then ask her if she'd rather meet in person or, she watch the video or whatever. If you do the video, give them a time frame. Say in the next 24 hours. And then I bribe them with something. Bribe them with a lip gloss, bribe them with whatever, so that they actually will do it, so it benefits them. But you've got to tell people this is your goal. If you decide that you want to become a sales director, no such thing as a secret goal, people. You can't say, I want to be a sales director, but then not tell anybody. And you can't say I'm going to be a sales director and tell one person. No, you have to tell everybody. And I'll tell you what, the reason why you do that is it's more for yourself, because when you say it and it comes out loud, just me being up here and every time I say, we're doing national area in 5.5 months, that increases my belief that, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And so every time you say it out loud to people, it does the same thing. I'm going to get into DIQ by the end of the month. I have no clue how it's going to happen, but I'm going to do it. And so you just saying it out loud is really empowering. Really empowering. So no such thing as a secret goal. You just have to figure out the amount of activity it's going to take to get you where you need to be. Okay? So it's that simple. You just have to be willing to do the work and be willing to do the activity, which you all told me at the beginning that you're all willing to do the work. It's not a big deal. And you have to be passionate. They have to hear your passion and hear your excitement. Amber Nancy isn't here, but she, before she got into DIQ, she needed 5 active people in the last 24 hours of the month. And she just prayed about it, which that's a whole nother thing, is you've got to have your quiet time with God and really, be fueled up in that way if you don't have something that's spiritually filling you up. But got to be filled spiritually for sure. But she was praying and she and just said, okay, God, tell me who I need to talk to. And God put a couple people on her heart. And she actually called them, and these were scary people she hadn't heard from in years. And she called them and met with them, and they signed up and they got active, just totally out of the blue, completely out of the blue. But the reason why is because they heard her passion and her excitement and her enthusiasm. Where you can go through the numbers and you can do 1 in 4, but I'll tell you what, if you're passionate, you can get 1 for 1. If you're passionate, hear me again, if you're passionate, you can do 1 for 1. So if you need 7 team members, you better get some passion and go start talking to people. But